How's it going, everybody? Hopefully we're having a good Monday. I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different interpretation tonight. I'm going to be basing it upon one of my favorite allegories as the concept came to me probably about 2 hours ago when I started writing my script. And when I was looking at the different aspects and placements, it actually perfectly fits with the underlying context in the layer of one of my favorite allegories, which is Melancholia 1. I find it very interesting from a multitude of perspectives, as one can get rather lost in a rabbit hole of internal conflicts, genius, strikes of creativity, answers with more questions than responses. It's just a beautiful piece of art. If you get bored, look it up. It's Melancholy 1. I have an overall context theme of the ocean doesn't ask a raindrop for water, so keep that in mind for those expecting one to beg. With the moon trine Mercury, as I was stating, I looked to Albert Durer's Melancholy 1 as it depicts a winged, pensive female figure as a personification of melancholy, symbolizing the challenges and struggles of the creative process, even for a highly skilled artist. The engraving is a psychological exploration of the artist's inner world, reflecting on the burden and frustration that can accompany great creative insight and a pursuit of knowledge and artistic perfection. In medieval and Renaissance philosophy, I found with the moon opposition Mars, we have human temperament, which was thought to be determined by 4 bodily humors, with melancholy associated with black bile. Now, with the moon conjunct Saturn, we can see, through remedies suggested in astrology to mitigate the negative effects of this conjunction, such as performing certain rituals or cultivating specific positive traits. With the moon sextile Uranus, we have the emotional liberation aspect coming out, whereas the 4 humors of the allegory, each representing a different bodily fluid. Now, an excess of which was thought to cause certain illnesses and personality traits. Blood representing cheer and courage, phlegm representing apathy, yellow bile represents anger, and black bile representing melancholy. With the moon conjunct Neptune in the 9th house, it suggests a deeply imaginative and intuitive individual with a strong inclination towards philosophical or spiritual pursuits, often experiencing a blurring of reality and dreams within their belief systems. This placement can indicate a powerful connection to their intuition, particularly when it comes to understanding abstract concepts or exploring spiritual ideas. Now, with this, I kind of sidetracked and went off on a tangent with this one, so I apologize. I found a body input theory for optimum outputs. It's not a single recognized theory, but rather a concept referring to the idea that optimal physical or mental outputs are achieved by understanding and manipulating the inputs to a system, particularly in a physical performance and motor learning context. Theories like optimal feedback control explain that body solve tasks by optimizing control strategies based on inputs and sensory feedbacks to achieve the best possible outcome. I myself, I look to Six Sigma a lot as far as deviations, variabilities, possibilities, probabilities through an analytical standpoint, whereas everything is a scientific experiment to me. Again, as an aspiring chief of staff, I like to create a problem-solving basis for even the most simplistic things. Everything to me is a training possibility, even as something as like reaching for a remote. I will insanely overcomplicate it and create like a ninja-like strategy in achieving just, procuring something as simple as a remote. Like I go off on tangents. I digress. Similarly, optimal input theory in language acquisition argues that comprehensible and compelling input, not just any input, leads to optimal learning. Now, mind you, language isn't just so simple as speaking different languages. Language is a form of communication. Communication has so many more layers than people can even begin to fathom. It is a world of itself that I am finding rather becoming a kind of a hobby of mine, if you will. I like speaking verbal allegories. I like speaking in context of layered onions. Those who need to know what I'm saying know what I'm saying. And those who don't need to know what I'm saying understand the more simplistic aspects of the context within the onion itself. Now, with North Node conjunct the moon, your imagination is enhanced. Your mind is stable and strong with accurate psychic sensitivities and reliable impressions. This contributes to creative talents. Wherever this conjunction is found by the house, that house and the matters it governs are strengthened. Reflect on which area of your life feels particularly intuitive and abundant. This can offer clues as to where your emotional energies are most constructively expressed, leading to a final aspect, again, touching on Melancholy 1. For me, I like to use that for, again, leveled variable internal conflicts, inspirations, or any creative blocks that might temporarily hinder me in the moment. Again, I never have a extended period of creative block. I find solace in very simplistic ideals of life. I'm very content in my energy and my space. So for me, anything could be a creative block. One who is content within their own space and body and mind can be easily inspired by the most two-dimensional constructs. Anyways, touching back, the final aspect of Melancholia 1 is Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa's hierarchy of magic. This is outlined in his seminal work, The Three Books of Occult Philosophy, De Occulta Philosophia, which divides reality into three interconnected realms: the natural, the celestial, and the divine. This Neoplatonic system explains how magic works by demonstrating the relationships and sympathies between these levels, showing that natural magic draws its power from the celestial and ultimately the divine, creating a unified understanding of the cosmos. Now, the three layers broken down are the natural world, which is the physical world. This includes tangible substances and living beings, people, places, things you can touch, see, hear, feel, taste, what have you. Agrippa believed that the natural objects possessed certain qualities and sympathies that could be manipulated through natural magic. We then have ascended to the celestial world. This realm encompasses the planets, stars, astrological forces, and influence the natural world. Again, which is why I'm so heavy and delved into my planetary magic and planetary workings. I love the aspects of Earth, the earthly realms, and the elements and the energies on Earth, but our entire body and existence, intuition, and imagination is entirely highlighted and emphasized by external influences existing outside of the earthly realm. So I don't like to limit myself so much as the mass, if you will. I'd rather stay tapped in and tuned into my morphogenic field, which is a limitless source of energy and infinite capabilities and constructs, where I'm not limited to such geometric patterns. I'm more polygonic in nature as to not operate within certain parameters as expected. Again, Agrippa's system here explains how celestial energies are transmitted to the earthly plane and how they can be understood and used in magical practices. And ascending from that level, we have the divine world. This is the highest and ultimate level, representing God, the source of all reality and power, the grand architect, this sublime one. Agrippa's Neoplatonic philosophy posits that all lower realms ultimately derive their existence and power from the divine. Even with demonic magic, this is ultimately sourced from God, which is why I don't speak down to lesser energies. I learn from lesser energies. I don't worship. I equate to and apprentice from. I won't speak ill on, because that's a shadow aspect of the self in every human being that exists. You know, I'm not going to cast out one and only honor the other. That doesn't make sense. It's very imbalanced. So for me, dualism is everything. Like, I cannot understand this if I don't comprehend and appreciate that. You know what I mean? That's where my mentality's at with that. So with that being said, ultimately, interconnectedness, oneness, from my video yesterday, is the overall theme of this. The core idea is that these three levels are not separate, but form a unified hierarchical system of divine emanations. With sympathetic magic, according to Agrippa, this operates through sympathies and correspondences between things in different realms. For me, this is why I have colors of the day that represent different planets that correlate with different energies. I'm corresponding the meta to the physical so I can externalize how I internally feel, and this is how I draw in my energies to empower my divination practice, overall magnetic magical energy that I perceive, so I can navigate this plane through my meta being, if you will. With the divine source, this is the natural and celestial realms, and their magical workings are ultimately a reflection of the divine. Sorry, I thought I backtracked and scrolled up accidentally. Therefore, understanding the connections between them allows one to wield greater power. Again, this is, and always has been, one of my favorite allegories for a variety of reasons, due to the fact of the level of depthness I can observe simply by a distant gaze, literally indulging in a multitude of different angles, emotions experienced throughout my perceptual journey, right down to the very core of where I'm at that time. And no matter how many times I look at Melancholy 1, I never get the same feeling, as I guess it would depend on which humor I'm embodying most of the time. I found this as an interesting interpretation to go with the different aspects today, as it does, like I said, it flowed too perfectly with the lunar energies. And the moon's all about emotion. Melancholy 1 is all about emotion, and I just felt that the two concepts together tied in perfectly for a Monday video. And instead of just going through with a very generalized statement and tying into different mathematic or scientific theories and constructs that I piece together in a moment, I figured I would do just overall viewing of an interpretation through an allegorical reference, because I love allegory. Anybody who actually knows me knows that that's one of my favorite form of art is allegory, and I get much clarity through allegory. It helps me solve a lot of issues myself. It's a lot of them have the base meaning intrinsic to their core is just phenomenal. If you get into allegories and the different levels of allegory, it's the rabbit holes that you can end up down. It's quite incredible. It offers much insight. Hope you guys found this video interesting. I'll see you in the next one.